So this is the first episode of Coffee On. Wow, there's a lot of people joining. Hi everyone.
Whoa.
So here today I have a very special guest. You may not know who he is, but you may have definitely drank his beer before. So right below is John Wei from Brewlander.
Hi,
There's
everyone.
a heart button at the side. Please give him a lot of love. What are you drinking today?
I'm having a sour beer actually.
A sour beer, like a saison kind of style?
No, it's a fruited sour beer. So the beer is a little bit tart and nice and refreshing. Something of a change to what I've been having the last couple of days. Last couple of days was a lot more of Pilsner early in the day. Before transitioning to the hoppier beers like an IPA or a hazy style pale ale that's really just full on juicy and hoppy and citrusy tropical fruits note. But today I feel like having something a little bit more tart, more acidic. Yeah. So interesting, like sour beers are a thing that's catching on in the world today. And really we're using cultures, right, that it's actually also similarly used in making kimchi, for example. Yeah, so like cured, or fermented pickles and all those things. Yeah, so it's got that nice acidity to it, lactic acid.
Is this beer available by bottle as Brewlander bottles, or is this one of your special secret project that you're working on? Because I heard you're also doing this project, the Fringe, right? Where you do small batch experimental style of craft beer.
That's right.
So,
so
can you tell us more about it?
Yeah, so basically, maybe I should start introducing the Fringe project first. So when we first started, most of our beers are brewed in a larger commercial space, right? So and it's also a place where it's a little bit more stringent with regards to what kind of beers we can do there. Whereas coming back from my homebrew background, we like to do things very fun and quite crazy at times. Playing with wild cultures, not just beer yeast but wild cultures, or also using ingredients that could be kind of risky in a larger production facility. And then again, sometimes the beer styles might be a little bit too niche, where we don't know whether there's a big enough market for that, right? Sorry. So the Fringe project is kind of like a pilot system where we brew only 500 liters at a time, and it's it's really an opportunity for us to have a creative outlet where we still can express ourselves and challenge ourselves to do things that may or may not work, right? But I think that's important that we also get, take a chance to be a bit more reckless in making the beers again. And, we never know whether what works, what don't work, or, along the way tweak the beers. But unfortunately, the beers under the Fringe projects are not available in bottles at the moment. So you can only have it on draft because, to be honest, it's 500 liters. So that's by the time you package, it's about maybe 16, 17 kegs, thereabouts. And, it doesn't really stay very, very long, as in it runs out pretty fast. So that's the whole idea where we get to rebrew different things and not necessarily have to brew it over and over again. And we can brew like different versions of the beer, tweak certain things to get it more interesting, more flavorful. But by the end of the year, we are currently setting up a new facility here in Singapore. Yeah, in Tuas actually.
You guys was the Gypsy Brewer all along, right? That's right.
So with this place, finally, thankfully, we can find a home for ourselves.
And for everyone's sake, could you explain what's a Gypsy Brewer?
Okay. Yeah, maybe I should start. Yeah, maybe I should start a little bit further, by sharing that I started as a home brewer in 2008, 12 years ago. And and over the years, it was just a fun hobby, lah. Like brewing at home, inviting friends over to drink. But in 2016, decided to make some career moves, career decisions, and like really give this a go, lah. Right, take my home brewing hobby, and despite many friends and people over the years say, hey, you should go and do this, lah. You should, when can I buy your beers on the shelf, or go to a bar and buy your beers? And finally it's like always at the back of my mind, but I'm not sure whether I want to take my hobby and make it work, right?
What were you doing before this?
I was actually in finance for I think 8 years. Then before moving into slightly kind of construction in a sense, like the business side of construction, before coming back to this, So when we first started, of course, we started with very little, and then again, it's time. If, with whatever little we have, we start as a brewery, build a brewery. Number one, it takes at least almost a year, right, to find a unit and fit it up and all. And I think we couldn't wait for 1 year. And likewise, with the limited budget we have then, right, we likely can't build a big enough brewery, which in a sense that if we had done so, we probably would run out of a capacity 6 to 8 months into it, and then it's like we'll be like not being able to sustain that growing demand and the growth. So what we did is start as a Gypsy Brewer, which means we approach other breweries, existing breweries that has excess capacity, and we just go to them and say, hey, is it all right if we rent the capacity and we will come over to do the brews ourselves? We will buy our own malts, we will buy our own hops, our own stuff, and we do the actual brewing ourselves. So really just borrowing the space there, and crafting our own beers ourselves. So that's what a Gypsy brewery is.
And you brew in Cambodia, right?
We started brewing in Cambodia.
You have to go to Cambodia.
Wow, almost every month and a half, I would say. Yeah, every month or month and a half. Again, depending on the period of the year. Some years, some parts of the year we are busier. So we got a bit clever after. Hopefully, after 3 years, we got smarter, right? So we don't go as often, but we try to do bigger batches that we are more confident that we could turn over and still maintain fresh quality.
I think we have a question from the viewer.
Okay.
So Leon asks, if when you were a home brewer, did you manage to win any home brewing competition? And if so, which was your winning beer at home level? Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the quick answer is yes. But the interesting story is because when we first started home brewing, like all of us, like 10, 12 years ago, right, there weren't many imported craft beers. So when we got into this whole thing of craft brewing and we are brewing all these beer styles that we can't find in Singapore, right, it's like I'm drinking it, but I'm not sure whether it's supposed to taste like that. There's nothing for me to compare with, right?
Yeah.
So
that's what I felt when I drank a saison for the first time. I was like, wow, it's so tart, it's so pretty, and I'm not sure it's supposed to be like that kind of
exactly.
It's so interesting.
So there's nothing we can compare it with. But then there was a homebrew competition here in Singapore organized by our good friends iBrew. And I think they've been running it for 15 years now, I think. And it's just really a friendly competition and a day of celebration where, all of us would come and try different homebrews brewed by different homebrewers. Sorry. And of course I entered my beers there, but mainly, all of us entered beers because, we have some more experienced judges back then, who could give us feedback. This beer is not really supposed to taste like that, or not bad, good effort, but you consider, doing things differently, right? So we're really just wanting to know whether our beers were supposed to taste the way it's supposed to, and and get constructive feedback on how to improve, So I think I started doing that, and when I got more serious into that, that's what we continued to do. But was surprised that it came back with a medal. Yeah, so
Nice.
yeah, because we really didn't know like whether our beers were good or not good. So kind of over time then realized that actually the beers are tasting better. And
Which was the beer?
wow, I was quite
Do you
a
remember?
I was quite a obsessed home brewer lah. So I would have brew every style, right? Just to so how I go about is like, okay, I'll be in my, let's say, pale ale phase right now. So I'll keep brewing a pale ale over and over and over and over until I'm happy with it, or until I feel like I nailed that style. I really mastered it before I go into an IPA, then before I go into a saison, or before I go into a lager or something else. So I would keep brewing it over and over, and if it's not good, I'll just dump it. I won't even drink it. I'll just dump it, and then rebrew again until I'm happy with that. So, of course, like we've got a lot of beer samples at home, so we all just send the beers to the competition and yeah.
I thought you guys would be drinking like all the time because you have to sort of like QC, right? So for us
that's an excuse maybe for drinking. Yeah.
So you also call yourself Yeast Whisperer, right? What's your if you could give advice on like home brewer, what advice would you give to home brewer to be a successful yeast whisperer like yourself?
Okay, number one, I didn't call myself that. It was part of an interview, right? So I was just saying things like, whispering to yeast, and the person just coined the term, this is the yeast whisperer.
It's a pretty fun name, actually.
Yeah. And some advice, I can share some advice, but you gotta listen in, I'll whisper it to you. No, but jokes aside, I think it's, you gotta understand fermentation is everything, right? So it's about how to control fermentation. There's a saying that brewers makes wort, but yeast makes beer. So we only prepare the precursor to what basically extract the sugars and make the wort. That's what it's called. But it's the yeast that ferments that and make the beer. So our job, is to create an environment where yeast can be happy and or sometimes stressed. Sometimes we push it a bit and stress it a bit, and it creates very nice flavors that otherwise won't be there. And it's about understanding the yeast, because there are hundreds of different kinds of yeast that you can make beer, right? And the interesting thing is, I can make one batch of beer. Let's say I make at home 20 liters of beer, right? And I can split it 5 ways, so 4 liters each. Okay, math is still working. 5 ways, 4 liters each. The same batch of beer that I brewed, and I put 5 different yeast cultures, 5 different cultures of yeast. And once fermentation is done and you drink it, right, you would have thought that I actually brewed 5 different beers or 5 different times. I brewed the beer 5, it's 5 different batch of beer. But you think about it, it's the same batch, but the yeast could have so much effect that you thought that I brewed 5 different things, right? So I think it's about understanding fermentation. Somebody said sanitation. Well done, right? Sanitation is the golden rule. Always, you can't be too clean. You can't be too sanitary. Always be OCD about it. Yeah. And then again, it's like I said, there's hundreds of different kinds of yeast. So you got to know what different yeast brings to the table, right? Certain yeast likes to be treated this way. It's not a one method for all. Like I said, it's like having different kits. What might work with your son number 1 might not work with son number 2. You got to know their temperament, and every yeast has different temperament. Some are very easy, like you can just leave it there and you make beer, but some are a little bit more troublesome that you have to coax it. You gotta take care of the whole fermentation cycle. So it's understanding all these temperaments. Yeah.
It's complex like women, right?
I'm not a expert in that subject, and I'm still trying to figure that one out. Like, I don't know if I will ever figure that out.
So is beer brewing more art or science for you?
I would say both, really. it's the art of science, or it's the science behind the art. Okay, you see, one sip of beer makes me like that really. Jala.
I'm also high on caffeine.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So
yeah, but I would say it's both, because the art part is about being the creative, right? Pushing the boundaries, bolder flavors, and how to sometimes use so many ingredients. With beers today is brewed with so many different ingredients, right? Like people add spices, fruits, I don't know all kinds of things they add inside beer these days, just to make it interesting. But then again, you got to make it balanced and still be drinkable, right? And that's where the art part comes in, how to be creative. But the science part is the discipline, I would say, like understanding the process of sanitation, right? Understanding the process of fermentation, dry hopping, even packaging, right? There's so many good beers that's great at the brewery, or great, when you drink it at the bar, but when you have it in bottles and you have it in cans, it's just a totally different product, because there's a science behind all these things, how to, that really affects the shelf life, and, giving people what I call the brewery experience, when brewery fresh experience when they drink it.
Since you're talking about that, right, I've always been curious, drinking beer from a can versus draft, what is like the biggest difference? Which is better?
That's a loaded question. I think cans has a bad rap for many years, right? I'll go into that later. But the draft is beautiful when the draft system is well maintained. But it's you have to upkeep the beer lines. You got to clean the lines for draft beer to taste very good. But then again, are you drinking a keg that's freshly tapped, few days old, or are you drinking a keg that's been there for 2 weeks, a month? So there are variables like that. Whereas if you think about it, a can is basically a mini draft, a mini keg, right? It's in stainless steel, right? So the conditions are exactly the same in the keg and the can. Can has had a very bad reputation for many years, for reasons that I really don't understand. But I would say my judgment is probably price.
And maybe people will also feel that it's not fresh, right?
Yeah, maybe. But I think also, like in the past, let's not even talk about draft and cans, right? But even bottles and cans, people always think bottles are better. And I don't know whether is it because when I go to a supermarket and I see the same beer available in bottles and cans, and when I see that the bottle costs more, then the same beer in bottles costs more. Maybe I would think that probably it's because bottles are higher quality. But the truth is that because the bottle costs more than the can, like the actual bottle itself costs more than the can, so it's about pricing that in, right? But if you want to be technical about it, actually cans are better than bottle. In most beers are better, unless you're talking about big beers that you want to age over time like wine. Then that's another thing. But otherwise, cans are actually better, and that's why we're moving to cans by the end of the year.
Wow, awesome!
Yeah.
It's better for storage as well, right? Like it is lighter.
I mean, I can name you a few of the benefits now, right? The more number one is no light could enter the can. So light or UV actually skunks up the beer. So that's why you see beers has clear bottle, green bottles, and amber bottles. The amber bottles are the ones that are the best for protecting the beer against UV. And the UV actually makes the beer go bad, skunky, right? And then the other thing is oxidation as well. The seal on the cap of the bottle is not as secure as the can, which is simpler. Yeah. So it's just the way it is, right? Like that's why even like things like tomatoes or canned food, right? It's a better way of storing all those things rather than putting tomatoes in bottles, in glass jars, right? Then again, I think there's another element of being socially responsible. So like, its carbon footprint is a lot lower, right? On many levels. if you ship a pallet of bottles, there's a lot of gaps in between. And all those are air, right? It's all air but cans are so compact that when you stack it up, you can actually stack more beer. So if you work out the math, per liter of beer in bottle and in cans, the carbon footprint is actually a lot lower with cans. Then the process of making the cans and recycling cans is just so much easier and more responsible than the bottles. Yeah.
Do you
and also and a good point, Leon, is that probably over the years, like advertisement always makes it look like it's cool for a guy to stand by the bar, hold a bottle of beer and like drink it,
It's very, very cool.
Yeah.
Are you guys also doing or thinking of doing like flavored beer, like with make like pancakes and things like that, or fruits?
Yeah, we actually do fruited beers as well, or beer with spice. I'll give a few examples, or two lah. I think one of the very exciting one was a collaboration with Native, right?
Nice.
DJ from Native, like so he's like Singapore's darling and hero in the cocktail world of wanting to use local Asian ingredients. He does foraging, right? He foraged local, like spices or fruits, and we collaborated on brewing a sour beer. We went around Singapore to forage some locally grown wild berries that's edible, right? It's called rukam masam. That grows in many places. That's really sour and tart, and we made a beer with that. And the other one is something that I really enjoy. It's a mango salad, or it's a beer that's inspired by the Thai mango salad.
Wow.
Yeah. So when you really drink it, right, it's like liquid mango salad in your mouth. We use Alfonso mangoes from India. We also used Thai basil and mint leaves as well, like the garnish that they use in the salad, right? We also use habaneros in place of bird's eye chili padi, because chili padi is a lot of heat but not much flavor. But habaneros has so much. I mean, it's really hot, right? But it's got so much interesting flavors as well. So it gives.
I'm drooling already.
Yeah, it gives a nice citrusy and berry flavor. But it gives a nice bite and heat as well. Not too hot, but nice bite and heat. And then at the end, we also add some salt in place of the fish oil to give it that savory note. And it's just amazing, especially on hot days. Yeah, it's very nice.
Sounds very good. I wish I have that right now.
Soon.
Would be awesome.
Hopefully soon.
What are the beers available online right now?
So online right now, we only have beers that we package in the bottles. So we have a lager. We have a summer ale, which is Hope. That one's quite a crowd favorite. We have a Peace, which is a hazy pale ale. So it's a beer that's not like that. This is clear, right? A hazy beer is like just cloudy and hazy all the way. But it's got a very nice light mouthfeel, but it coats your tongue very well, and it's just so juicy and so hoppy. It's like a tropical explosion in your mouth. Then we have Joy, which is a session IPA. So if you like IPAs, bitterness, and the hops of an IPA, but you don't want to be like 6%, 7% all the time, this comes in at 4.5%. So it's very nice. It's a nice beer to start the day or afternoon with, just 4.5%. But you still get the flavor and the qualities of an IPA. Then next up would be our IPA, our flagship beer or what people would consider our flagship beer. No, Love.
Oh, Love.
Yeah, I think it's the only reason why we are still probably the main reason why we are still in business today. Yeah, it's a WOW IPA, and with that beer it's interesting because we launched with 4 beers 3 years ago, and that was the beer that I had cold feet. Actually, the day before I brewed, I really had cold feet. I was like thinking, I know the beer tastes very nice, right? But number one, how am I going to explain to people what WOW is like? So I got to go to the bar or the restaurant and say, oh, try this WOW IPA. So they're going to ask me, what's a WOW IPA, or what makes it WOW? Then I have to go through that whole geeky explanation about WOW fermentation, WOW yeast. Then they have to do it to the customers. So it's like, I'm thinking like, should I be doing this now, or should I wait until, get our beers out there, make some noise and then launch this? I knew the beers were good, right? That beer is good. I've been brewing that many years at home. But and in the end, it's like, I felt that gotta stick to our guns, right? And like giving up whatever job I had before, want to do things on our own terms and really brew a beer that makes, put Singapore craft beer on the beer map, a global beer map. And it's humbling, right? Because at first I thought that would be the beer that would be the toughest for us to sell, because of so much explanation I had to do. In 3 weeks, it's like...
Sold out.
Yeah, sold out. Yeah, sold out. And it's like, I didn't really even need to explain too much. People start smelling and drinking the beer, and it's like, okay, we order. And it's gotten to the place right now that everyone just keeps ordering that beer and not pay attention to the others that we have. Yeah, but it's a special beer. It's a special beer. And then lastly, the porter, which is also one of my favorite styles. Yeah, porters are absolutely one of my favorite styles. And I'm not sure whether is it because in Singapore, we have a habit of
Guinness,
even on a hot day. No, not even Guinness, but even on a hot day, we'll go and kopi peng, iced coffee, right? Like to cool ourselves down, drink a iced coffee, kopi peng at a kopitiam, right? So to me, it's like it has that same impact for me. On a hot day, I would drink a porter sometimes because it makes me feel like I'm drinking an iced coffee. Yeah.
Nice. I think we have a couple of questions.
Sure. Let me catch my breath.
Yeah, you've been talking non-stop, which is awesome. Like, by the way, if you guys have any questions, feel free to write it down. We'll answer them when we can. So, what's your opinion on NEIPA?
Love it.
From Rohit.
What specifically though? But I would say I love the style. I think it's gotten a bit of bad reputation recently, is because everyone suddenly is only drinking NEIPAs.
Actually, can you elaborate what's an NEIPA?
Okay. So IPAs are really okay, or how should I say, like, okay, craft beer is really the growth of craft beer in the last 15 years, right, has really been fueled by IPAs, really, because people like, or I should say American IPAs, because American hops are just so interesting. European hops are more earthy, more herbal, more dirty or soy-like in that sense, right? Whereas American hops are so citrusy, like grapefruits, tangerines, orangey, and or even mango-y, tropical-like also. So it's the American IPA that actually started this whole craft beer phenomenon, right? But IPAs are bitter. IPAs are very aromatic, but hops gives a lot of bitterness as well. So IPAs will have a very strong, punchy bitterness to go along with it. And it's really started from the West Coast in the States. That's why it's known as a West Coast style IPA or American IPA, mainly more West Coast. But any IPA is something that has, in the last maybe 4 years, has been very popular globally. And the style is very different. NEIPA stands for New England IPA. So it's an East Coast style IPA, which is quite oxymoron because IPAs are supposed to be very bitter, but NEIPAs have very little bitterness. But it's got so much juiciness to it. Not hoppy per se, but very juicy. It's as though you're drinking mango juice or an orange juice or fruit punch. Really, it's pretty amazing. But those beers don't travel well, so you got to drink it fresh locally. I've had examples where it doesn't travel well, it oxidizes, and it tastes very bad. But I like it. I think just that everyone has stopped drinking all the other styles of beer, and everyone is just drinking any IPAs. So I think among the brewing community, it's kind of a bit of fatigue there as well. And it's like, maybe brewers like to challenge themselves and say, no, I don't just want to keep brewing this. Whereas brewery owners might feel like, it's the cash cow, let's milk it more. So I think that's the whole current situation with any IPAs these days. Yeah.
Okay,
but it's a great beer. It's a nice beer. We make them too. Yeah.
You're very popular. We have a lot of questions. Another one.
It's Sunday. Everyone's quite free.
Yeah. So we actually intend to just do like 20 minutes, but if you don't mind, we can maybe just finish up the questions. Well,
Sure.
Okay, so Leon is curious about 3 fun facts with craft beer, like for craft beer beginners. What should they try and what to look out for?
Okay, wow, that's
I like how you're leaning there and you're getting comfortable, right? Because you know that it's going to be a long ride.
So three fun facts. Number one, I would say, like my own experience, the first time I had craft beer, right, was really eye-opening, right? Because, I mean, most of the beers we drink here in Asia, more than 90% of us always drink lager, right? So to us, beer is lager. In Asia, at least, like beer is lager. And the thing about commercial lagers is that if you do a blind test between brand A, B, C, D, I don't think you could taste much difference, or you could really point and say, this is this brand, this is that, because they all taste very similar. Whereas craft beer, I remember the first time I had it was like, wow, I didn't know beer can taste like that. Like, are you sure you didn't add any fruits or flavoring in this? How come I get fruit, citrusy grapefruit smell from that? And then you begin to learn more about, wow, that there's so much different beer styles, so much different taste that beer can give, other than what we all know as commercial lager. I think that's something interesting. Second fun fact, probably not so much with regards to the liquid, but if you look at craft beer these days, right, labels are awesome and very, very cool.
Fun, right?
Yeah.
It's
some of my
polo.
Yeah, some of my favorites are Beaver Town. Beaver Town has a very nice, unique design with aliens and all. But very, very, very bright colors, very nice design. I wouldn't enjoy being that designer, right? Always have to draw intricate drawings. Is tough, right? Omni Polo is very nice as well, right? And some of them, like they see the labels as a canvas, and a lot of them work with artists to do that as well. Last fun fact. Wow. Can I get back on that? Last one. I'm going to drink more beer.
So I guess what you mentioned, right, it's also very similar to coffee. Like, especially coffee is so interesting because when people try it for the first time, they realize that it tastes so complex and it blew their mind on how coffee can taste. And like labels as well, everyone's trying to express themselves, find label in a way that is more approachable. And there's this saying like how we take our product or maybe brewing very seriously, but we don't take ourselves seriously. So we're still pretty playful, it's still fun, but very serious about the craft. Yeah, it's pretty similar with beer. So beer with ice, what are your thoughts? Wow!
I would say no, really. But then again, right?
If beer is not cold, or like a lager supposed to be like ice cold, right? Where water is supposed to be a bit warm when you drink, right? So if the lager is not cold, would you put ice or would you just?
I would wait for it. As in, if the can is not cold, I'll wait for it to be cold, right? And if it warms up, then I would say drink faster. No, but jokes aside, but I would say for craft beer, no ice, please. really, please, no ice. But I would. So that's what I want to talk a little bit about. Also, is like, you know, if you drink your craft beers too cold, the flavors you don't taste any flavor. That's why, like, for example, red wine, you drink it at European room temperature, because if you drink it too cold, a lot of flavors are actually muted. You drink it a little bit warmer, it actually opens up. Of course, being in Singapore, it's a bit tough to drink it in that 10 to 13 degrees or 8 to 13 degrees sweet spot, right? But don't drink it too cold for craft beer. But then on the other hand, it's like we've all been, you know, in Thailand when it's really, really, really hot. I drink beer with ice, commercial beer with ice there as well, right? I'll be like, give me some ice, you know, put it in there. Yeah, drink a Singha or a Cheang or a Liu with ice and just, yeah. But I'm on holiday, so I get to do what I want.
Yeah.
I break the rules.
Sometimes lah, right? It's just like, like for me, because I work with a specialty coffee company, right? But sometimes I also drink, you know, coffee bean. You know, coffee is quite similar, right? So, wow, it's a lot of questions. What cultures do you connect with when you're designing a beer? Like, you know, maybe some people have like
as in the recipe, lah, right? I'm guessing.
Oh yeah.
Designing the beer recipe, lah, right? I think a lot of it it's subconscious, like, because I think being in Singapore, right, subconsciously our process, our method, or the way we envision the finished product is really has influenced, lah, right, by the weather, number one, right, hot weather. So you always think that, okay, I'm going to be at a bar, right, or at least for myself, I like drinking in the afternoons on weekends. I had to say on weekends. You know, I like you know, in the afternoon, if you are, you know, you go out for a walk or have lunch or whatever, I would stick in an ice cold beer or a nice beer, you know, or two, right? Because in the afternoon it's hot, you just want something refreshing, and I think that's very much something that I would hope comes through in our beers as well, as which is on a hot day, hot evening, you know, you want something that's refreshing, calm your senses, or, you know, just to make you feel a little bit more relaxed, right? But the food as well, right? So I think that, again, it's subconscious, right? But we have been told that our beers are quite versatile to go with local food, oily food, you know, heavy, spiced food as well, and I think that's something that subconsciously we put into our beers. Other than that, I think, like, for example, we look for inspiration in a sense, like the mango salad. We might be eating a dish, right, and say, I should design a beer like that. So I think that, yeah, we are not the most organized people when it comes to brewing. Sometimes, you know, like my guys would tell you this, like, you know, we are going to brew tomorrow, like for the Fringe project stuff, right? We're going to brew tomorrow. Let's see, what should we brew? What have we not done? You know, and sometimes it's a lot of you know, being spontaneous sometimes adds to the creativity as well. At least on the fun side of it. Yeah. Especially
it helps when you're a little bit tipsy, right? Then your brain works better. Like, you get more creative, I guess.
I hope. That's what I tell myself.
Okay. So we're going to take the last 3 questions.
Okay.
You can decide which one you like to talk about. There's a big fan base, actually. There's one person, Rohit, say he would like to work with you. Yeah, you can choose which question that you like to answer.
Let me read. Sorry.
Another sip of beer.
No. I gotta bring my phone closer. Obama. Yeah, Obama is also a home brewer. Or he home brews in the White House. Yeah. In US, every person. Yeah. In fact, I think Benjamin Franklin, or was it Benjamin Franklin, who was also a home brewer, and said beer is proof that God lives and loves us, or something like that. Yeah. But it's good to drink beer with ice. Okay. How do you make sure your beers age well? Okay. Quick answer. How do you make sure your beers age well? I think the general answer to that is beers are not meant to be aged. Drink it as fresh as you can. Don't keep it. Drink up and buy another fresh one. Except for styles like barley wine, old ales, imperial stouts, like beers that are maltier and higher in alcohol that really it's meant for aging. But otherwise, all beers are not meant to be aged. Just drink it as fresh as you can. Let's see. Okay, why don't beers travel well? Again, it's the same thing. Beers were not really made to travel very well. So what do they do? Like, for example, he mentioned a brand there, which I don't want to name. Good people as well. They are good people as well. Is that when you send beers overseas, it's just very, very, very challenging, right? And there's this whole argument about sending beers cold chain. So we export our beers as well, and we always send cold chain, but it's just so expensive, right? And we do it because we care for the beers, but not many importers actually do the same, and beers go off very quickly. So what do breweries do? They filter their beers and they pasteurize their beers to help make it more stable. But in doing so, right, you're just stripping away all the flavors that you put inside first. So I would question then, why even start putting so much flavors when you're going to take it out at the end, right? So yeah, sadly. What cultures do you connect with when you are designing a beer? What cultures? Again, it's different cultures for different styles of beer. If you need a Belgian style, right, you need to use a Belgian yeast because the culture gives it so much of that characteristics, like the cloves, the coriander, the white pepper, the black pepper spiciness. It comes from fermentation, the phenolics, I would call it, right? And interesting thing is we are a little bit behind there, but we actually have a program going on, which is isolating and cultivating our own local yeast in Singapore. So the reason behind that is that, people always say the challenge of wanting to brew something really local, right? And that's always our challenge because in Singapore, we don't grow barley. We don't grow hops, right? Okay, we have water. That's about it, right? And then we import yeast. But given that yeast is such an important ingredient, right? Or probably one of the most important ingredient because it determines whether it's beer or not, right? And the flavors of fermentation, right? We decided, I one day just thought, you know what? We can isolate and cultivate yeast ourselves, So we have a program that we started. It's kind of in cold storage at this moment, like cold storage. But what we do is we go around, right, to the gardens or wherever, and we try to isolate everything in the air, right? So, we prepared two samples, one with hops and one without, like a media, for microbes that's in the environment to grow. So with the hops, you are likely only going to get yeast because it's a preservative, so you're not going to get a lot of bacteria there. But then with the other one, we are trying to also isolate good bacteria that can be used to make sour beers or farmhouse ales. So we have that ongoing, but we are a little bit tied up right now with building the brewery and also it's taken a little bit of backseat, but hopefully we can use local Singapore yeast cultures to make a true local Singapore beer.
Nice. So last question.
Okay, last question. You
and
got one?
for all the viewers that stay all the way until the end, John has a surprise for you guys.
Website that we started, I think, 2 weeks ago, because of all this stay home. Everyone's got to stay home and can't go out. So we have people asking like, hey, where can I have your beers delivered and all? So we figured the easiest way is just to set up a shop to list our beers on bottles. So anyone could go to www.brewlander.com and our beers are there. And for everyone that's watching today, let me just double confirm. We have a coupon code for everyone that's watching. for your first order. And if you enter hashtag coffee on, hashtag coffee on, COFFEEON, you will get a discount for your first order.
How many percent are we talking about here?
You gotta go and try it to find out. That's the exciting part of it.
Wow, that's horrible.
Oh, do I deliver to Essex?
Do you want to talk about the craft beer community as the last
Singapore?
question? Yeah.
Yeah,
You're quite like the Taiko, right, of the craft beer.
Not in any sense lah. I would say that it's a fun community lah. Like when most of us brewers or like folks that's working in this community, or even with home brewers or like familiar faces you see at craft beer bars, or you just hang around, have a beer, chit chat, and then share like, guys, what are you guys doing right now? Or with fellow brewers, right? We share interesting ideas. Sometimes we, and it's a lot of when you talk about what you're doing or share ideas, right? Sometimes that's when you get challenged, right? Or you get inspired to do something special. We do collaboration sometimes with other brewers as well, or so it's quite chill lah. We just hang out with and talk to each other. Sometimes home brewers would also like text us and ask home brewing questions, or just one of the guys lah, I would say. Yeah, I mean it's very similar. I've noticed in the coffee community here, especially coffee community here as well, right? Like every barista seem to know each other and always like hanging out and having fun. Right?
Yeah, that's the amazing part about F&B, because everyone is so united. Like even now, we are actually exchanging like information and knowledge like from different industry, like coffee and craft beer. Right? So it's pretty awesome.
Yeah.
But thank you for your time.
Hey, thanks.
Yes.
Thanks, Carmen. Okay. Cheers. Are you sure there's anything in your glass, or you just action dairy only?
Actually, there's nothing more, but I'm hoping that you can send. All right. Cheers. Coffee on. Thank you for your time.
Thanks, everyone. Hi, Jane.
Bye-bye.